Hello and welcome everyone at a new episode of the Pure Gospel on the Flat Earth. My name is Jouke Elzinga and today we will talk about humanism. More specifically, we will expose it. In the previous video we talked about relativism and why it is unlivable and why it is promoted by hypocrites who don't practice what they preach. Right now we're going to talk about the underlying worldview for relativism, namely that of humanism. And humanism basically tells us that we ourselves are the standard of right and wrong, and that it involves that humans basically are good. We need to follow our desires and need to defend our own interests basically. The devil already promoted the lie of humanism in Genesis 3 verse 5. There he said to Adam and Eve that when they would eat from the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that they would become as God. Well, we all know what happened. They did not become like God, but on the contrary, they had to leave the Garden of Eden and they became mortal and they suffered from all kinds of problems. And there you see the contrast basically between following the Most High and His commandments and denying our own interest versus giving in to our own interest, listening to our hearts, setting ourselves as a standard for right and wrong, and doing what we ourselves want. Humanism, I think, is also highly satanic. The central law within Satanism is do what thou wilt. So then we know a little bit about what we are talking about. So to give you an overview of the background, humanism was also promoted by a man called Friedrich Nietzsche, who came up with the concept of the Übermensch. And he said that as a result of human evolution, he was an evolutionist. He believed in the evolutionary theory that humans became more and more advanced over time. And that we would transcend the stage of being human ultimately.
Nietzsche's Übermensch, God is dead, and Nihilism. God is dead was Friedrich Nietzsche's rather dramatic way of saying that, in his opinion, God was no longer a philosophically strong explanation of the source of moral values. If one doesn't believe in God, Nietzsche thought, one inevitably falls into nihilism, here meaning both moral nihilism, the lack of belief in moral values, and existential nihilism, the lack of belief in any intrinsic purpose or meaning of life. For some, this confrontation with nihilism can be crushing. For others, however, it can be liberating. Faced with nihilism, Nietzsche thought we have an opportunity to create our own values, affirm our own uniquely human mode of existence, to go beyond the traditionally theological concepts of good and evil. The person who does this is an Übermensch, or overhuman. The next logical questions are, what precisely does it mean to be an Übermensch, and who can be one? Following Nietzsche, many people from anarchists to Nazis have taken up this question and submitted their own answers. Subscribe to Philosophy Tube for more from the Gentleman Thinker. Till then, cheerio, old chap!
So this ties into the idea of progress over time basically, that has to do with the evolutionary theory and natural selection basically. The evolutionary theory, as we have mentioned also in other episodes, is highly racist at the core. There is this idea that certain people are more advanced than others, and the dark-skinned people, they would be more closely related to apes and would therefore be inferior to the white-skinned people. So there you see basically what happens when people want to believe something which does not correspond to reality. They don't want to line up their ideas with reality, but they just want to believe in the fantasy stories basically. And I think that humanism once again is a big lie, It also gives negative implications. Namely, people become irresponsible, because we all know how humans are, how corruptible they are. When they want to give into their interest, basically, they don't care if someone else has to suffer as a result. And we see this happening in society all the time. Also, we see basically that people become superficial. They only act as if they are responsible in a certain moment, or that they need to be responsible, because they get rid of this notion that God will judge their actions, and that at a certain moment they need to give an account of everything they have done, and that God sees everything, basically. So we see that people also tend to believe in all kinds of things that are not even real, like space and the globe Earth, and inhabiting other planets, space travel, all this fake nonsense that is of no use, basically. But we have covered this also in other episodes, so if you like it, you can watch those. There you have the overview, the general overview, why I think that humanism is a poisonous worldview, and that we need to battle it, and that we need to expose it. So that's what I'm doing during this video. So let's read now about what the Bible has to say about humans and their condition, and that we need to be humble, basically. So let's go to Romans 3 verse 10 up to 24. As it is written, there is no one righteous, not even one. There is no one who understands. There is no one who seeks God. All have turned away. They have together become worthless. There is no one who does good, not even one. Their throats are open graves. Their tongues practice deceit. The poison of vipers is on their lips. Their mouths are full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Ruin and misery mark their ways, and the way of peace they do not know. There is no fear of God before their eyes. Now we know that whatever the law says, it says to those who are under the law, so that every mouth may be silenced and the whole world held accountable to God. Therefore, no one will be declared righteous in God's sight by the works of the law. Rather, through the law we become conscious of our sin. But now, apart from the law, the righteousness of God has been made known, to which the law and the prophets testify. This righteousness is given through faith in Yeshua Christ to all who believe. There's no difference between Jew and Gentile, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and all are justified freely by His grace through the redemption that came by Christ Yeshua. So there we have it. We can only make moral progress, basically, and progress as humans as a whole, if we first admit our human condition, namely that we have failed for the Most High, that we have transgressed His laws, that we fall short of the glory of God, and need to live from forgiveness and from grace, basically. And that we can only approach the Most High through His Son, Yeshua the Christ, the only mediator between God and man. So that is what we need to do. We need to become humble, and we need to reflect upon ourselves, and we need to compare our behavior to the moral law of the Most High. Only that will that attitude will help us forward. Not the illusions that we ourselves are God and that we can do whatever we want, because it will lead to irresponsible behavior. There you have it for today. Thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you in the next episode of the Pure Gospel on the Flat Earth.